Hello, welcome to Jason Home Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today I am doing some new physical media that I bought. I went to Vintage Stock here in Kansas City and bought 8 vinyls, used vinyls. And then I went over to Barnes & Nobles and bought 3 Blu-rays / DVDs. So that's what I bought today. I haven't bought anything in a while. I've been kind of keeping off buying new stuff because I'm, in the process of going to be moving soon. And so I got all my stuff in boxes, so it's like, I probably shouldn't buy new stuff because I buy new stuff, I got to put more stuff in boxes and I don't know. But when you like collecting like I do, it's hard to just, I don't know. It's something about collecting that excites me when I go to the store and look up and see what's there that I can buy and enjoy. And so, yeah, I haven't done it in a while, so I just felt like, gosh, I just really want to go out and do something, for myself and, kind of treat myself and go over to Zona Rosa in Kansas City and, pick up some new physical media. So that's what I did. I got, like I said, vinyl and movies. I guess we'll talk about the movies first. I got at Barnes & Nobles. I got The Greatest Show on Earth, the DVD here. Cecil B. DeMille. You got Charlton Heston there. It's kind of Charlton Heston's first movie, I believe, that he ever did. This came out in '52. This won the Oscar for Best Picture, in fact. So this is a Best Picture winner. Not really well-known one, not one people talk a lot about. It's kind of, definitely one of the more lesser-known Best Picture winners, unfortunately. In fact, a lot of people say it's like one of the worst Best Picture winners. Like, no one thinks it's really that good or should have won. I totally disagree. I really like this movie. I think it's a really good movie, really underrated, real fun. And I'm totally for it winning Best Picture. I have no problems with that. Really great cast though. I mean, Charlton Heston, like I said, like really first big role, and he's the lead. He plays the ringmaster of a circus. So you can see there's all this circus stuff. But yeah, it's about this traveling circus troupe, and he's the kind of the boss, the main boss, the ringmaster, who hires everybody and, decides, the order they go in and all the kind of manages everything, whatever. And as you can see, Steven Spielberg saw this movie when he was a kid, and he's a big fan of this movie. And as you can see, this is definitely a prototype for Indiana Jones. So it's kind of cool to see. If you see this movie, you go, oh yeah, that's Indiana Jones. I mean, Steven Spielberg totally took the look of Indiana Jones off of Charlton Heston in this movie, which is really cool. But basically, Charlton Heston, he's dating Betty Hutton, who's the lead trapeze artist. But then he hires this guy, Cornell Wilde, who's also a really good trapeze artist. And Betty Hutton's character is very upset that he hired another trapeze artist, and she's very jealous, and she's really trying to compete against him to take the top spot. Anyway, so they kind of have a bit of a falling out. There's also Gloria Graham in here, another great actress, who also tries to get romantic with Charlton Heston's character, and she's on top of an elephant. She's like, works with elephants, but there's a guy who trains elephants who's jealous, and he almost tries to kill Gloria Graham. He gets fired, and so him and another guy actually run a car into their train as they're traveling, and derails their train with all the circus animals. And that's kind of the end of the movie. I'm spoiling it a little bit, but not too much. But that's kind of the main climax, is their train derails, and it's such a cool scene. They have to try to get all the animals together, plus they have to help the people that got hurt. Really cool. Also, I have to add, that's Jimmy Stewart there as the clown, which is really cool. Totally unrecognizable. A total supportive character. Jimmy Stewart's one of the biggest actors, at this time. I mean, he's a huge name. So it's so cool that Jimmy Stewart took this role, kind of more of a minimal role, but important role, and he's in clown makeup the whole movie. Like, he's unrecognizable, except, his voice and everything. And his character also has a cool backstory I won't go into. But yeah, the circus stuff is really good. Like, it's really well done. It's real fun. I don't know. I like the whole love story that's going on between all the different people. And Charlie Heston's great. I'm a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Stewart. I don't know what to say. I really like this movie. It's one of my favorite movies from the 50s. Picked up another DVD, and this is Good Morning Vietnam, starring the great Robin Williams. And arguably, maybe my favorite role he's ever been in. I don't know. I really like what's it called? Dead Poet Society, I think is really good. He's really good in that one too. Man, he is so good. This is like only Robin Williams could do this role kind of thing. In fact, a lot of the stuff that he does is like improvised, which is what Robin Williams does so well in. I mean, the first time he gets on the mic and goes, "Good morning, Vietnam," and then he goes into all these different characters, and only Robin Williams can do so well, and does all this stuff. It's like it's not all that's ad libbed by Robin Williams, and it's some of the best material in the movie. It is a pretty cool story. He's a radio DJ in during Vietnam War in Vietnam, working for the armed, army radio service, whatever. And he becomes very, very popular, but controversial, and he gets in trouble for stuff he says. But the troops love him, so he stays and does it to help the troops because it's good for the troops' morale. Anyways, and he also falls in love with this Vietnam girl, and there's a whole story behind that, and between Vietnamese like terrorism and stuff like that that's going on. But yeah, it's a great movie, great performance by Robin Williams, like one of his all-time greatest. The last movie I want to talk about is I got A Hard Day's Night on the Criterion Collection. Yeah, I already have this on DVD, and I really like the DVD package I got, so I'll keep that. So I really love how it looks, and overall it's good. I like the DVD I got, but of course it's Criterion. I love collecting Criterion, and Criterion adds a little more to their usually to their product, a lot more special features and stuff like that. So I don't know. I thought this was worth a buy, even though it's like $40 for these Criterions are so expensive. But I love getting Criterion. Anytime I go to Barnes and Nobles, I usually get like one Criterion Collection movie to add to my collection. And yeah, looking at this, it does have a lot of special features. There's a lot of special features on the DVD, so I don't know. Some of these are probably the same special features that are on the DVD, but I'm sure there's some new ones on here that aren't on there to get to watch. And it does have a audio commentary on here, which is interesting because there's no audio commentary on the DVD. It says audio commentary featuring cast and crew. So interesting. I don't know exactly who's going to be on the audio commentary. It makes me wonder if it's just going to be like a different cast and crew members that are interviewed over the years, and maybe they'll just take out interviews and splice them into the movie to act like commentary. So I don't know if you get any of the Beatles talking about it or Richard Lester, the director, but definitely get different people's perspectives that worked on the movie. So I'm kind of excited to watch the audio commentary and see what they say. And I'm a big fan of this movie, of course. I'm a huge Beatles fan. This is my favorite Beatles movie that they did. This first one they did in 70s and 64. It's an absolute classic, like must, of course, if you're a Beatles fan, it's a must have. So now I got it on Criterion. So I'm kind of excited to check this out. That's definitely the most exciting thing I got from Barnes & Nobles. Now I'll get to some vinyl. First off, I got, it says 22 hits from the incomparable Lovin' Spoonful. So Lovin' Spoonful, one of my favorite bands from the 60s, kind of part of the folk rock era in the mid 60s. Yeah, I love their overall sound. John Sebastian here, the lead singer. You can see their picture there. Great hits. This has 22 songs. That's a lot of songs. And it's on two discs or whatever, two vinyls. So yeah, enough to fit into vinyl there. Looking at the track listing down here, definitely got my favorite songs. That's why I got it. Like, okay, it's covering my favorite stuff, like Summer in the City, Daydream, Did You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind, Do You Believe in Magic, You Didn't Have to Be So Nice, my favorite Lovin' Spoonful song, Darling Be Home Soon, which is a great song from the Association as well. Lovin' Spoonful, I don't know if John Sebastian, I think, wrote it, and they did it on one of their records first. But the Association does Darling. It's one of my favorite Association songs, actually. It comes on their last album. They did cover of the song. But I love Don't Be Home Soon is a really good song. Let's see. Jug Band Music's on here. I like that song. It's really good. Anyways, Didn't Want to Have to Do It. Great song. Anyway, so it definitely got my favorite stuff. It doesn't have Bald Head and Lena, but I mean, that's not really a big hit, but I do like that song. You get the group on the back there. There's the members of Lovin' Spoonful. So, yeah, love their sound. Love getting all their big stuff on here for sure. You gotta find a place for this. All right. Here I got a Chicago album. It just kind of says Chicago. I love this album cover of the band members writing their color or their painting Chicago on here, and there's the police coming to get them, I guess. But I love the back is kind of the completion of them painting Chicago on the wall. This is basically a greatest hits. It's funny, there's nothing written on here, so I don't know exactly if this Chicago, what this is called, except it just says Chicago on it. There's the insert, but looking at it, it looks like a greatest hits album because you have 25 or 6 or 4. Does anybody really know what time it is? Color My World, Saturday in the Park, Feeling Stronger Every Day. On side 1 there. Side 2, we got Make Me Smile, Beginnings. Yeah, so those are the ones I know. So, yeah, so some songs I'm not as familiar with, but love Chicago. Love getting their kind of greatest hits. This looks like more of their earlier stuff, I'm guessing, before they went total pop. So it's kind of more like the greatest hits of their earlier work in the 70s period, it looks like. So yeah, love Chicago, love to get more of their stuff. And speaking of Chicago, I also got an album, Chicago 17. It's funny, at the vintage stock, there's a bunch of Chicago albums. I think Chicago 16 was there, and there's a couple other Chicago albums that I just don't know enough about their albums to know which ones to buy yet. I need to listen to more of their stuff so I know which ones to buy. But I know this is like one that's considered like one of their really good later albums. And I believe Scott really likes this album, has this album from Soundlab Studios. And yeah, I think I've heard this album before and it's pretty good. The main song is You're the Inspirations on here. That's their big hit. Love that song. One of my favorite Chicago songs. So yeah. I have Chicago's 2 and 3. And now I got Chicago 17 plus the greatest hits. So getting plenty of Chicago in my collection. Then I got Groovin' by the Young Rascals. Sorry, Rascal Flatts. That's a country group. I'm just thinking of Jake Martin's going through the Rascal Flatts on his channel. But yeah, the Young Rascals, Groovin'. This is kind of their big hit album. And I've heard it and I really like this album. So it's glad to see it. I do love the Young Rascals. I think they have 2 names, like the Young Rascals and the Rascals. I do love their big hits and stuff like that. This has 2 big hits on it. How Can I Be Sure and Groovin', of course, the title song of the album. Both really great stuff, but overall, I know this is, I love the cover, them in the cartoon form. Actually, it's a really cool cover. That's like the only album I've really heard is Groovin'. I think it's the big one that everybody knows them by. And speaking of the Rascals, this is it's called Timepiece, the Rascals' Greatest Hits. Very interesting cover too. I like it has like a comic book feel to it. Yeah, because you turn on the back and it's got like, you go that way or that way. And it has like bubbles of them talking like you do in a comic book. And it's the titles of the songs on here. So the ones I really know, of course, is Lonely Too Long, Groovin', Good Lovin', a great song. How Can I Be Sure, A Beautiful Morning. Yeah, those are the ones I know really well. All really great stuff. So yeah, so got one of their albums, now I got kind of a great hits. I love how this is like that, and then you kind of open up like that, and then you get the record out of here. So it's not quite a gatefold, but it's kind of interesting, I don't know, the way it's folded and everything, and how you have to get it out. But anyways, we get more of the Rascals. This is one I'm maybe the happiest about finding, and that is the Hermits on Tour, their second album. There's a Hermits in a balloon. Um, I'm trying to think. What's the lead singer is the one I know the most. Peter Noon, yeah. Which my mom saw Peter Noon live like 20 years ago, and has a picture of her with Peter Noon. And my mom was a huge Hermits fan growing up as a little girl, so that was like a dream come true for her. But I was a big Hermits fan as a kid because my mom loved them, and always had the greatest hits like playing all the time when I was growing up. Anyways, the problem is with them is that they don't have any of their music. I don't believe any of their albums are on Spotify, which is crazy. I don't know why Spotify doesn't have their music on there. I think they have like greatest hits maybe on there, and they have like one album on there, but so it's really hard to get hold of like their solo albums because they're just like I said, they're not on Spotify, so I can't listen to them on Spotify and do like a review of Hermits or something, do a deep dive. So this is definitely, and I think I even looked on Amazon. I had a hard time finding these albums, so I was glad to really find this. That's one I definitely have always really wanted to get. This is kind of their best album as far as I can tell. Looking at their albums and what's on them, I think this is like the best one. So that's why I got it. When I saw it, I was like, oh man, I gotta have this. Yeah, it seems like I rarely ever see a Hermits album. Has a couple of pretty big hits. Can't You Hear My Heartbeat? It has I'm Hearing the Eighth I Am, which was a #1 hit for them, which to me, I think it's a stupid song. I'm not a fan of that song, funny enough, and it's like one of their biggest hits. It's just annoying. It's the same thing over and over again. But can't You Hear My Heartbeat? Great song. And then you got Silhouettes. Silhouettes, another really great song. I've always loved that song. And Heartbeat is on here. That's another good one. Those are the ones I know. So it has a few pretty big hits of theirs on this album. That's why I said I think it's probably their biggest album overall. And it's funny, every song is like only 2 minutes. A couple are maybe 3 minutes. It's a pretty quick album, not very long songs, but yeah, love their overall sound. They're definitely the bubblegum pop sound. Uh, you know, very poppy, very catchy music. And I got Mudslide Slim by James Taylor, which I think this came out like maybe 1970, I want to say, somewhere around there. 71. I think it came out in 71. I'm thinking, because I think this came out at the same time as Tapestry from Carole King, because the big song on this album is You've Got a Friend, which is on Tapestry, which Carole King wrote that song. And I believe he sings the kind of backing on Carole King's version of it on Tapestry. And he liked it so much, of course, I guess he asked her if he could put it on his album, which she agreed to. So it's one of his biggest hits. I think it's more well known for him than it is for Carole King. I think usually I hear his version more. In fact, his version won like Song of the Year or Record of the Year for the Grammys. It was such a popular song, which is funny because Carole King's Tapestry won Album of the Year and won like Best Song or Best Record for It's Too Late or something like that for one of her songs. And then her other song that she wrote won for James Taylor. Yeah, this is a pretty good album. I've heard it like maybe once. I thought it was a pretty good album overall. So I think probably one of his top albums. You can see it's very young James Taylor, one of his early ones. But I haven't been big on his album so far. I'm just kind of starting to get into listening to James Taylor's albums recently, and I really love his overall sound. Of course, I love folk music, so he definitely has that folk sound that I really like. I love his voice. He has a great voice overall. But yeah, You Got a Friend is the big hit on here. I don't think I know anything else really on top of my mind, but yeah, definitely need to listen to more of his stuff. I know Gorilla, JT, or some other ones, but Mudslide Slim, so far, it's been the best one I've heard so far. And then the last album I will talk about that I bought is I got the Byrds' Greatest Hits. So yeah, I got the Byrd members up there. Kind of psychedelic album cover. Not a lot of songs really. Maybe 12 songs. Yeah, so not a lot of songs. I would love to get a Greatest Hits that has like 20 songs on it, and instead of just 12, because there's more songs that you could probably pick from. Because it feels like a lot of songs come off the first two albums. That's really a lot of their first two albums to me were by far their best albums. Mr. Tambourine Man and Turn, Turn, Turn. And it's got their biggest hits that they've ever had on those two albums. But this does have some other songs from other albums. That's why I got this, because I thought I probably won't get a lot of Byrds albums because I really only like the first two. But I'd love to get a Greatest Hits so I can have some good songs from other albums. But obviously, you got Mr. Tambourine Man and I Feel a Whole Lot Better, which came off the first album. The Bells of Rhymney also came off the first album. Really good stuff. Yeah, Turn, 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 which is, of course, from their second album, Turn, Turn, Turn. Love that song. Amazing song. All I Really Want to Do, another Bob Dylan cover. And Chimes of Freedom. Chimes of Freedom is also off their first album. All I Really Want to Do might be off their first album, too. See, it's mostly their first album on side one. Only till side two you get to some of their other albums. You got 8 Miles High, which is their most psychedelic song, which I think came off the third album, maybe the third album. 8 Miles High came on. Yeah, so you got that. Mr. Spaceman, which is also came off the third album, which I'm forgetting which one's the third album, but Mr. Spaceman is my favorite song off that album. It's one of my favorite Byrd songs. So catchy. 5D, I don't remember too much. So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star was an okay song. And then you end with My Back Pages, which is an amazing cover. A great Bob Dylan song. The Byrds might be even better. Their version is so good because the harmonies are just out of this world. I mean, you got Mr. Tambourine Man, All I Really Want to Do. I think The Bells of Rhymney, I think, is maybe a Bob Dylan song. And My Back Pages. So you got like at least 4 like Bob Dylan covers. They were so good at covering Bob Dylan. Well, I guess it says here maybe what they're, you got, yeah, Younger Than Yesterday and Fifth Dimension are probably the other 2 albums. So this is basically the best. This is the Byrds Greatest Hits based off their first 4 albums. So these are really only songs from the first 4 albums. Like I said, it's kind of an early Greatest Hits maybe kind of collection. Because they really change after about the 4th album, because they start off folk rock. They invented folk rock basically, and then by 3rd album though they kind of went more psychedelic a little bit, and then they also kind of went country after that, and we get a lot more country sounding albums, and of course Gene Clark quits the group at the 2nd album. Crosby gets fired, basically kicked out of the band after I think the 3rd or 4th album. So there's a lot of changing members anyways of the Byrds. So still big fan of their big hits, the Byrds. So always love getting the greatest hits when I can see them. But anyways, that's the music and the movies I bought today. Feel free to comment. What do you think? Do you own any of these movies or albums, or seen them, heard them? What do you think? Please feel free to comment. I love reading your comments. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good day.